Hello, everybody. You're listening to World Without Rule of Law. And tonight, on the very first segment of Preppers and Patriots, we're going to talk to Ken from Brook Farmstead. How you doing this evening, Ken?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. It's great to have you on.
I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. Ken, I've been watching your videos, and I see you. You guys were in Washington State, you and your wife and your one young son, right? And you kind of just packed up a U-Haul and moved out to the Ozarks. You want to tell us a little bit about how that all happened, how that all came to be, and how you embarked on that journey?
Absolutely. It was kind of a funny story. We did the homesteading stuff kind of on a small scale in Washington. We had pigs and chickens and ducks and dogs, and we were staying at my wife's family's property, and we'd been looking for our own piece of property for a long time at Washington, and Washington was really, really expensive. It was just hard to find a place that we could really afford. And so in that process, we were in the middle of, talking back and forth about doing a YouTube channel, and we hemmed and hawed about it. Well, the Pratt family the Pratt family homestead ended up having a contest. And we thought, you know what, let's enter the contest. Let's, start our YouTube channel.
Yeah,
and so
I actually remember that because it was for the canning equipment, right? I think, as I remember, you won second place. It was something different, but I actually joined that same contest myself.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because I know Peorian dude, that was his first time doing a video too, and got him kind of going. So that was kind of cool.
That's awesome.
So we did that, and we won second place, and we thought, and we got really good response from people, and so we thought, let's just tell people kind of our story, and let's just show everybody, what we're doing here, and so we started doing that, and then at the same time still searching for property, and that's when we met the awesome Homestead, and through chat and through YouTube, and they kind of were talking about and telling us about the Homestead Crossing. So we started checking into Homestead Crossing online and found that, man, they're a really great company that does really low down payment and really low monthly with no kind of credit checks, nothing like that. And so we went ahead and found a piece of property and secured it and decided, this is what we were going to do. This is what we wanted to do. And so we pretty much packed everything up, sold all the animals, packed everything up. We started our adventure in our van. We packed up a U-Haul trailer, hooked it to the back of our van, and getting ready to move, we met another gentleman. A lot of people probably know Grizz270 on YouTube.
Yeah.
We met him, and he said, "Hey, while you guys are going by, why don't you stop by so we can all meet and things like that?" And so, in the middle of our journey, we did that. We stopped at Grizz's and stayed there a few nights. They have a really great family. They were really, really awesome people. So when we left there to continue our journey, our van actually broke down going over the pass on Highway 20. The training went out in our van, and we didn't really know anybody else other than Grizz. And again, he stepped up and helped us out, came and towed the U-Haul back, and we were able to kind of coast the van back down to his place. And then our van's actually still at his house.
Huh.
And so he helped us. He took us down so we could secure and get a budget truck. So we went and got the budget truck, went back to his house, loaded it all up with our stuff, and stayed, I think, one more night there. And then we hit the road again and headed out, and we made it here.
That's great. I mean, that's really quite a story, and you mentioned that about Grizz. I mean, that's one thing I found with the YouTube community. Since I've only been doing this a short time myself, and I'm still a very small channel also, and but just the people that I've met and come in contact with are really, just great, down to earth people, and I think that's wonderful, and I think a lot of what we do in this self-sustaining community and trying to do the homesteading and prepping and all this other stuff, like, community is very important. It's very important to have a community, people support network, work together, and it's tricky sometimes to find that too. But I think that YouTube is a great source of that. Like I said, I've met a lot of great people, talked to a lot of great people here on YouTube.
Absolutely. We've met, I mean, you're right. The community is just almost like number one. I was kind of a loner, I kind of just kept to myself always. And, knowing that we were coming out here and not having any kind of family, we did have the awesome homestead. Yeah. So they were really great. They helped us out a lot. They came to our new house here, and they cleaned it up a little bit for us before we got here. But we knew we still needed to create a good community setting here, not only to help us, but to help whoever we were getting involved with, because it's always strength in numbers, it seems to be the best. So yeah, we actually, right down the road from us now, we met another great family, husband and wife, and they have, they got 5 kids. Wow. And so they're not YouTubers, but they're also doing the homesteading life, and they knew how important it was to have community. And so, we've really been helping each other out as far as that goes, and that's really worked out really well. That's
great. Yeah, and it's really good to have that support network, and I'm sure they're glad to have good neighbors too. That could, it's a two-way street, right? It's like, so they'll help you, and you can help them, and you guys, the community grows together, and everybody benefits. I think it's great. Now, that's probably the couple, I know you mentioned them in a couple of your videos. That gave you the water tote.
Yeah. That was kind of the funny thing, I told my family as soon as we got here, because we're kind of on not a real busy road, but it's a county road, and I just told them, anybody that drives by, wave and smile. We're new here, and we don't know nobody. So one day when Richard from the Awesome Homestead and I went to town to pick up some stuff for dinner, we came back, and the husband and wife were here at the property, and within 10 minutes of meeting them, they said, "What? You don't have no water totes or nothing?" They said, "Man, we got an extra one. Come on, let's go get it." And they gave us the water tote. They gave us a water pump, a pump for the tote, and they gave us a battery to run the pump.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's good neighbors, right? I saw one of the first videos you made. You guys had just moved in. You had a lot of stuff on the porch still, and you were collecting water in pans and tubs and all kinds of stuff that you had. And so, that just goes to show, like, there's a good improvement right there. Like, one good friend made, and helped you out with the water and improved things quite a bit, right? And
it's been great.
I think you're gonna, you're getting up and running. I see you started your garden. You did a video last week. That's one point that really impressed me, Ken, because a lot of people, and everybody's kind of in a different economical situation, so to speak, and some people, they have tons of money and they can go out and buy, $20,000 tractors and all kinds of equipment and build stuff and solar panels, and that's great. And of course, I wouldn't begrudge anybody. People work hard, they make good choices, and they they're financially in a good place, and they can afford to approach it from that angle, and that's great. But then then not everybody, then there's people all down the spectrum, right? All the way down to, somebody who has starting out with nothing and just making a go of it. But so I look at you guys and what you're doing, and I think like that's really like, the old time pioneer spirit. Where in the old days they loaded everything in a Conestoga wagon, right? And they went west and they just started a homestead on a raw piece of land with nothing. And I kind of equate that to what you guys are doing. I mean, I guess you came east instead of west, right? But
yeah,
you didn't have a wagon, but you had a U-Haul, so it's similar though. And so like, okay, so just look at the garden, like it's nice to have a budget and to be able to go out and buy, nice rich compost and topsoil and all kinds of fencing and, tools and stuff that you need. But I look at you and I see that, here's a guy who's working with what he has. He's using the resources of the land and he's growing a garden, and like, so I see that. I believe the progression, it'll improve every time, right? Everything you do will make a little improvement, like one little step at a time. And we've already seen that with the water collection. And so now you're doing this garden and, good for you. I think that really shows that really embodies that pioneer spirit and that, that willingness to just, get in there and do what you can with what you have. Because if you were a different kind of person, you could get defeated, looking and saying, oh man, I don't have this, I don't have that. But instead, I mean, it's kind of a joke, but I'll say, you're making chicken salad out of chicken poop, so taking what you have and working with it and improving and making it better. And I think that's awesome. I really do. And I commend you for it, Ken.
Well, I thank you. And we encourage anybody, if you've got money, you don't have money. I mean, we encourage everybody to try to at least try to live this way. This is how we all started out, from the beginning, and we've tended to get wrapped up in, the, society and what somebody else has and what, oh, I don't have this and I don't have that. And for us, man, I would much rather use what God's given us. I mean, He's given us, our property now has tons of trees. So it's been like 5 years since somebody's actually been on this piece of property, and there is a ton of leaves, and so I should use what God's given me. I mean, He's given me the leaves. People do the back to Eden garden. And so, I mean, I see no other way of why I shouldn't use what I've got.
Yep.
I mean,
that's great.
I'm on a real fixed income. I'm on SSDI, so, I get a lot of money a month. And so, I've got little trees and little things like that I can cut down and make the fences and the leaves for the garden. And I mean, I have what I need here. Yep. I mean, He gave it to me, so I might as well use it.
I think that's great. And again, it goes back to that pioneer spirit and that, that's the true nature of the homesteader back in the day. So, and I know like when the homesteading program came out in, 1800s or whenever it was, like people were given a section of land, and if they worked on it for so long and produced so much food or kept livestock or whatever the stipulations were for a certain period of time, then the government transferred the rights to the land. So when we use that term homesteading, it's used quite widely in our circles on YouTube, and I think, and I understand it, and I think it's that push for self-sufficiency. But the true, the real like definition of homesteading was that land grant, and you had to live on the land and work it, like I say. So I think it's similar, but it's really about self-sufficiency and growing your own food. And even if you can't be completely self-sustaining, and as I think about it, I think it would be difficult. I know there are people that are, but I think that's difficult, right? To just like totally get away from the grocery stores altogether. Um, but it's a goal. It's something to shoot for, and it's something that you can do a little at a time and get closer and closer as you go. I mean, everybody, in my opinion, and it's only my opinion, but I think everybody should be growing some of their food. And if you
Absolutely.
live out, if you live in an apartment in Manhattan and you got a little balcony, there's no reason why you can't put a tomato plant or, a cucumber plant out there, or pepper plant or whatever. I think of
Absolutely.
Jonathan from Lone Star Living. I know he lives in North Texas, and he's kind of in the city, and he's kind of in that situation. And that's what he's doing. He's growing a little garden on his patio, and so again, it's that same thing of where you try to have that progression. This is where I am. This is what I can do. This is what I'm gonna do, and then I'll keep my eye on the future at the same time, and maybe look for a better situation or a different situation or whatever, and then grow it from there. And I think if we're all moving in that direction, I mean, if there should be some kind of event that changes society, post-apocalyptic event, like let's say like an EMP or a financial collapse, or the Chinese or the Russians are falling out of the sky with parachutes, like a Red Dawn situation. The more people that are growing food in their backyard or on their balcony or whatever, that's just going to be one less person that's trying to kill us or kill somebody else for their food. And I think if we're all like kind of rowing our boat in that same direction, everybody benefits from that.
Absolutely. The big story lately has been, I probably won't pronounce it right, but that Azula, the big Azula or whatever deal that's going on in Oregon.
Oh, Azure Standard Farms?
Yeah,
yep.
Yes.
I don't know a lot about it, but I saw a video that Brad from Big Family Homestead did, and he kind of outlined it. I got the gist of it, the gist of what's going on there.
Yeah, they want to take 2,000 acres, that's all organic land, and because they have what they call an invasive weed growing, the county thinks now that they need to step in and have a meeting to see if they should go in and spray all this land with a pesticide to kill off this weed, which then takes away everybody's organic status.
Yeah.
And I agree, people should get a hold of the congressman, people should do that, but the bigger picture is maybe that's telling us we all need to start having our own little garden. Yep, maybe we should all start growing our own food.
There's obviously an agenda there, at work. There's more to that story than what they're saying. I believe it's not
Absolutely.
About the invasive weed or whatever, right?
No.
They're pushing some kind of agenda. Government money is pressuring the county or whatever it is. And again, I'm not really that familiar with that individual circumstance, but you're right. I mean, if that's a sign that we all need to be doing that in our backyards, or on our land. Or I look at, one channel that I watch that I love, I watch religiously, is Deep South Homestead with Danny and Juan.
Absolutely,
yeah. I mean, to me, they're, and like he says, he grows all his food for his animals, and so he's really pretty far along in that quest to be completely self-sufficient. And
absolutely.
And so maybe, not everybody could be at that level, right? But we all do what we can with what we have. And that's
absolutely. That's the key. I don't mean to sound mean or nothing, but we need to get off our butt and start providing for ourselves, or who else is going to do it?
Absolutely.
We're going to, like this next year, school starts, we're going to do the homeschooling thing.
Yeah, that's I think that's really great too. I work maintenance in a public middle school, and there's not enough time in this day to tell you the stories I could tell you. But if you can keep your kids out of that environment, good for you. Kudos for you. I think it's important.
So with that, with the other family that we've hooked up with, and their 5 kids, we're all going to work together and create our own little school.
That's awesome.
And if anybody else in this area wants to be involved in that, we're totally open to that.
That's a good idea. Yeah, and along with that too, then they're getting, of course, I'm sure the state has some kind of standards, right, for the math and science or whatever. But like with that, they're getting a real world experience too.
Absolutely.
Animal husbandry, gardening and horticulture or whatever. Like as they progress and get older, they can get deeper into a lot of those things, and then the larger picture, you're building the next generation of self-sustainable and people, citizens, and so like, isn't that awesome in itself?
That's another thing that we all need to start looking at. If we don't start showing these kids how our ancestors lived and where we actually came from, they're never going to know. Yeah. They're only going to know what they see on TV, what they see on the internet, what they see in a video game. We got to try to pull back from that and get back to the roots of really living our life.
Excellent point, Ken. That's an excellent point. I think, going forward too, I want to encourage everybody. I want to encourage, our listeners, whoever's listening to us here. And like I said, I'm still a relatively small channel, but any of my subscribers that are listening, I'd like to encourage you to go over to Ken. I'm going to put a link in the description of this video, and it's Brook Farmstead. And I'd like you to go over there and show him some love, and so watch some of his videos and interact with his channel, make comments, or what, if you disagree with what he's doing or you think it's wrong, go ahead and dislike it too, because it's channel interaction. It helps his channel.
Absolutely.
A dislike is just as good as a like, because people have different views, and there's nothing wrong with that. We need to, I think when we do that, we need to be respectful. You
Absolutely.
can disagree with somebody. You can have a different opinion about how they're doing something, but be respectful in the comments. And, so then in that way, it's okay to disagree. But I think that channel interaction is important because, and I won't pretend to know exactly how it works, but I know that the algorithms and the settings that YouTube uses and all that, the more interaction his channel gets, the more it'll get looked at by YouTube and moved up in the rankings and come up in the searches and all kinds of stuff, and that'll help grow his channel. And then on top of that, if you like what you see, go ahead and subscribe. And really, it's about, I think, more about the watches than the subscribes, because you can have, and we all do, I'm sure I do too, we have people that subscribe to our channels and then they never watch any of the videos or come back, and we all get caught up in that. I mean, I can only speak for myself, but I do. I watch that subscriber count, and when it goes up, it's like, oh yeah, I picked up another subscriber, I think we all go through that. But,
absolutely.
But really what helps grow the channel is the watches, right? And now they have, you can't monetize until I think it's 10,000 views. And so let's all go over there to Brook Farmstead. Let's watch some of his videos. There's a way that we could help support this guy and what he's doing in the education of his children, the building of his homestead, taking care of his family, without costing us a dime. It won't cost any of us a dime to go over and watch a few of his videos. But yeah, we could drive that view count up to the point where he could start monetizing his videos. And then, as he said, he's on a fixed income, and so as he can monetize his videos, maybe that little income will help him grow his homestead. And so I encourage everybody to do that. Go over there, like I say, show him some love. Watch the videos, hit a comment, make a comment. And sometimes what I'll do, and if I don't have anything really to put in or anything to say, I'll just do a quick comment like, hey, the place is looking good, or great video, and it really makes a difference in the way YouTube runs these videos.
And it's the encouragement,
Yep, absolutely.
Really, that really boosts morale, that really gets people feeling like, okay, I'm doing the right thing. I go back and forth with YouTube, but really YouTube YouTube is a good thing because of the fact that anybody that wants to learn something can go watch some videos and get the idea of how to do something
Absolutely.
for themselves. You know?
YouTube University. I do
Yep.
it too. Yeah, it's like having a video encyclopedia in a lot of ways. And you gotta, sometimes you'll see conflicting information, so it takes some discernment sometimes, but
Yep.
there is a lot of information out there, and it's free for the consumer, and so I think that's great.
And if you don't try, you can't succeed. So I mean, with anything you do in life, of course, you want to succeed. That's what you do, you know. So with the comments and things like that, it just makes a person feel like, okay, I'm doing the right thing. This is my path. You know, this is, people are really liking what I'm doing. And I really encourage people, just be real about it. Yeah. Be real about it. Don't try to sugarcoat things. Don't make things out to be nothing that they're not. I mean, this is tough, but at the same time, it's really rewarding.
Yep. Good point. Yeah, I think the encouragement is important too, because, if we're honest, all of us at some point in our life can use encouragement. And like you say, it is tough. And so you're getting up every day and you're physically moving your water and you're doing this and you're doing that. You're living off grid. That's got to be a tough lifestyle. And I can't know what you're going through or, what's going through your mind, right? Or when it gets hard, do you contemplate giving up or whatever? I'm sure we all go through those things. And so just to have somebody leave a comment like, hey, you're doing, that looks great or whatever, it validates what you do to a certain degree. Just like you said, the points you just made about it are absolutely true. And I think that's so important. And, as people and as human beings that share a planet and try to want to live and work together and form a community and have the same goals, I think that we should be doing that. We should be encouraging each other. We should be edifying each other, building each other up.
And it helps us all stop being so dependent on the government, because we all know that, that's not the greatest thing. Unfortunately, a lot of times they're out to make a dollar. And if they can make a dollar off you, they're going to.
Absolutely.
Or the biggest thing for us was really the food industry, the way the food industry really started changing. That really got us to where we wanted to raise our own animals and food and things like that, because this is, things just with Monsanto and everything, things have gotten kind of crazy.
Absolutely.
And so, I mean, I'm not.
See, and what you're feeding your family, what they're getting is good. It's good quality stuff, and I get it. I totally get that.
And your place is looking pretty good there. There in Virginia. It's going to be awesome for you guys finally get to retire.
I can't wait. Yeah, I got some time to do my job here, so I'm not quite ready yet. And it gets hard because I'm going down there again next week, and then I'm almost out of vacation. I got another week to use in the fall, but I won't be back probably all summer down there, and so it's hard. It's so far away that I can't, I get down there, I don't want to come back. I just want to move down there now. I just can't.
Yeah.
So we're
but
working.
You still got your garden, and you still got your stuff in your house, so you're still doing it. And I encourage everybody. I'm not telling everybody pack up their stuff and go move onto a piece of land. If you're not sure about it, just take baby steps. Start with a little garden. Maybe this year you start out with one tomato plant. I mean, that one tomato plant, can just make a snowball effect to where you really realize that, hey, this is really good. I can do this.
Yeah, you get that sense of accomplishment when you do it. And, Ken, you moving out there, it's that in itself is such an encouragement to others too, because so often I think that most of our limitations are self-imposed. And so we think, we're somewhere and, I can't just pick up and move. I can't, we can have a million reasons why we can't do something. And you know what? One of the most legitimate ones is money. And
Yep.
so here you are doing it with little or no money. So you're the proof. You're there. You're living on the property. You've just proved that, you know what, you don't have to have a ton of dough to pick up and move.
No.
If the will is strong enough, you can do it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you really don't. It doesn't take very much money to do this. What I've noticed, it takes more of your labor, just you going out and physically doing this stuff, and I know a lot of people are going to say, well, I'm disabled and I can't do that, or I can't, and then that goes back to community. There's always something that you can contribute to a community.
Absolutely.
I think I talked about in another video about in our little community we're creating, we are the only one that really has, because I have the electrical runs, what do they call it, an easement runs across the property.
Yep.
So for me to help my community, and I never planned on getting electricity. We didn't want to do that. We were just going to get solar. We just wanted it. But for our little community, I think it's going to be the best for us to go ahead and run the electricity so we can at least run a freezer.
Yep. And that's a good point. And that way you can contribute to the community, because if your neighbor butchers a cow or whatever, maybe he can use some of your freezer space or keep a freezer of his own on your property because you have electricity. And then, who knows, maybe then you'll get, steaks or something once in a while out of it from them. And so one hand washes the other, and it's and you brought up the point before about government and the overreach of government and their control. And so that's a good way kind of to limit that, because now if you're letting this neighbor keep a freezer on your property plugged into your electricity, and he's giving you some meat now and then from it, or for it, no money is exchanging hands. So there's no way for them to tax what you're doing with that barter system. And that's something, again, from the old days, the pioneer days. And I think that's a valid point, and maybe you could have a charging station where people can charge their batteries if they have solar and they have a week where it's pouring rain and they can't charge their batteries or whatever. I mean, just throwing that out there, there could be a million things like that. So just the ability to have the electricity provides you with an opportunity to be able to contribute to your community.
Absolutely. And here's a pretty good thing, kind of a point I wanted to bring about homesteading and living off grid. I mean, it was huge when we got here. Shortly after we got here, a lot of people probably seen on the news the huge floods that happened here in Missouri.
Yeah.
We didn't know anything about it. It didn't affect us in any way. We didn't lose power. We didn't lose phone. We didn't lose our water. We didn't lose our sewer. We didn't lose none of that. Yeah. It wasn't until we actually needed to go to town that we realized, oh man, how bad it really was.
Yeah, it's a good point. When you have all those systems, you get dependent on them, and then something happens and they go down, and it's almost catastrophic in a way, right? Like you lose power for 3 weeks, but you make a good point. Like you don't have power, so you didn't lose it. You didn't feel that loss, and I think it weans us off of that dependability, and I think it's great. I really do. I think it's great what you're doing there, Ken.
Yeah, I mean, again, I encourage anybody to just start small. Just start small. Start with a little garden. If you can, get a couple chickens. Is that more rewarding than having your kids go out before they go to school or just in the morning to go collect some eggs? I mean, the kids love it. The eggs are healthier. I mean, it's just a win-win for the whole family.
Absolutely. Ken, do you want to, if you want to email me, we didn't talk about this before, and I don't know your thoughts on it, so I'm just going to throw it out there, and it's okay if you don't want to, but and I'll preface it by saying that, neither one of us are a spokesman for Homestead Crossing, but if you would like to email me their link, I'll include it in the video description if you want to do that, because I think that I know we kind of went over the terms of how you got in there and stuff like that, and the Awesome Homestead did too, right? And I know in a couple of their videos they kind of mention it. And so again, we're not getting anything by plugging them.
No.
But if there's somebody who doesn't have a lot of money saved up and is itching to get out of a big city somewhere and get onto a homestead, maybe we could help them by passing that information along and hooking them up with them, and maybe they can use that opportunity as well to get out there and get
absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, I have no problem telling everybody that for this 1.1 acres that I got here, it has a small, you know, those little construction trailers on it.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much it. But for 1.88 acres with this little trailer, through Homestead Crossing, we paid $1,500 down, $250 a month.
Wow, that's phenomenal.
So, I mean, it's possible. I mean, most people get that if they're working or even with just odd jobs here and there, you can save up, and at tax time, and that's what we did. She was working, tax time came, we had the tax money back for the end of the year, and you know, instead of going out, and I know a lot of people, you know, they don't have a lot of money, so that one time a year they get that lump of money, and they'll go out and buy a new TV, or they'll go buy a new car, or they, you know, and then they're broke.
And if if we think about it in terms of monthly payments, I mean, where in every part of the country is different, but where I live here, and of course it's Connecticut, so but we're in the northwestern part of Connecticut, and it's more rural. There's some farmland. It's not really cities and stuff. But if you want to get a 2-bedroom apartment, I mean, you're looking at $750 a month minimum, and it's probably going to be a dump for that. You really need to spend $900 to $1,000-ish, starting out just to get a halfway decent place. So to be able to get in there for $250, and then if you're looking at that $750 to $900 as a starting place per month, you got some wiggle room there to do some improvements. And I mean, not you specifically, but if somebody's living, say, like right here where I live in an apartment, and they're paying $900 a month, they can go there and pay $250, and they can buy a big shed and put it on there. Maybe build some solar. So there's some wiggle room there, and I think that's great. That that's really a good opportunity. So again, if you want to email me that link, I'll include it in the video description, and maybe we can maybe that'll help.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And going to rent an apartment or renting a house, that $900 is going to cost you, because most places want, the first and last month,
absolutely.
And then they want a deposit. So take that money and buy your own place. I mean, that's...
Absolutely. Yep. I agree 100%, Ken. And you're right. And so again, if just to make the math easy, if you're looking at $1,000 a month, first, last, and security, you're talking writing a $3,000 check before you can even move your furniture in there.
Yep, and it's not yours.
Right.
And you have all the rules, and you have probably, if it's an apartment, you won't be able to have a huge garden. I mean, you might be able to start with a few, potted things, but you're not going to have the space.
Yep. Yep. And I think we're seeing that. We're seeing in this nation, like, with the tiny house movement and all that, we're seeing a lot of people realizing that the money that they're spending to live in these places and live like that are, it is wasted money, and they are wanting to, do for themselves more, be more self-sufficient, or have their own place, even if that just means a shed that they've converted into a house on a vacant lot somewhere. I mean, in my opinion, the way I look at it, that's 100 times better than even a nice beach house renting it somewhere. Because, as you say, that money is just gone. It's just wasted, and you're getting nothing really for it.
I'm outside after 10 o'clock at night talking on my phone with you, and I don't have the neighbors saying, hey, keep it down.
Right. Yeah.
This is freedom.
And if you want to get a dog, or, or in your case, chickens or a goat or whatever. There's nobody there telling you can't do it, right? There's no ordinance. There's no, neighbor complaining that she hears your dog running around upstairs or whatever. And it's so much better way to live, I think, overall.
And it's a really, really good feeling. It really is. I mean, and to be able to build it up from nothing, with nothing, almost makes it better to me. Makes me feel better.
Yeah.
And sure, I'd love to have
satisfaction of having, of accomplishment.
But, and going back to the Back to Eden garden, I mean, a lot of people have watched that now, and a lot of people have seen the documentary and everything like that. And he says it perfect. God gives us what we need.
Yep.
We just have to open our eyes to see it.
Yep. I've watched the full length Paul Gauci there. Like he says, you look in the forest, they never have to dig it up. They never have to till it. They never have to maintain it. The stuff just grows. It's the covering. He's right. And you look at modern farming practices, and I think that's where we got in trouble. Man went and they initially said, like, first thing we got to do is rip the covering off the earth.
Yeah.
And they're finding out now, and I think they're seeing now. It's interesting because I have a neighbor in Virginia. I really only have one neighbor that I could see from my house is across the street, and he's a 78-year-old guy, and he is just the greatest guy in the world. I mean, he comes over, and he's been helping me, and we've been getting to know each other and talking. And, he's got such good world experiences and stories, and I could just sit there and talk to him all night. He was an enduro champion in 1973, and came back from the Vietnam War. And so now, he's 78, but he says to me, well, I got this tractor, and the guy that used to live here before, I'd come over and I'd help him by plowing up his garden. So if you want, I'll come over and I'll plow your garden for you and get ready to plant it. And I try to explain to him that I wanted to try to do the Back to Eden, and he never heard of it. And I try to explain it, and he just looks at me like I have three heads, And so, and like I say, he's a great guy, and I can't say enough good about him, but he's just in that mindset because he's older, and this is the way that they've always done it, and he's always had a garden, and he's always done it that way, and they're just set in their ways. And I think we're seeing it change. We're seeing the surge in the Back to Eden and the no-till gardens and stuff, but we have, this generation that's older that they're, like I say, they're set in their ways, and they're not going to even really look at it. They won't even, he won't even consider it. And so, maybe if I can be successful and he can see, then maybe that will change his mind, but I think that's one of those things where, we're going to be friends, and I'm going to do things the way that I see fit, and he's going to do things the way he sees fit. And he always has a garden, so it's not like he can't do it his way,
Absolutely, and you'll both learn from each other.
Absolutely.
You still learn.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think
that's community.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And so I just, it's a learning experience both ways. You're right, but I'm for that Back to Eden. I've been trying to get wood chips, but it's difficult down there. I'm kind of off the beaten path, so there's not a lot of traffic, but I put my name on a few of those chip drop places, and there was actually an ad from the power company, and I called and put my name on that list, but they haven't called yet. It's only been a few months, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
What I've noticed with that, because we tried doing that in Washington, because we really started watching Paul when we were in Washington, because we actually lived only 40 minutes away from Paul.
Oh.
He was in Squim, and we were only 40 minutes away. And so when we got here, what we found out there was we were off the beaten path. And so if there's other people that want wood chips, and they got a sign in their yard that says chips, the county normally just drops it there. It's easier for them. They don't have to.
Convenient for them, sure.
Yeah, and I understand that. It costs more money to drive up.
The popularity of that is such that everybody wants them. So, not everybody, but I mean, there's people everywhere that want them. So it's a matter of convenience for them, and I could see that for sure.
So I encourage people, I could get I mean, here you can get wood chips. It's cost you $15 a ton. But I just, again, I was like, I have all these leaves. I mean, it's thick with leaves here. And it's already created its own leaf mold. It's already created, and it's already established itself. Why not give that a go?
Absolutely. It goes back to that, using what you have, using the resources that God gave you, like you said, that you have available to you right on the land.
Yeah, he gave us. I mean, he gave us this piece of property. He opened it up to us. He's shown us, and he's showing me what to do. Everything here, nothing just watered. I've got trees that are huge. I've got all kinds of different plants growing all over the place. Nobody ever waters it. So why don't I just do what he does?
Yep. That's good. That's great. Well, all right, Ken. I'm glad we got together. It was really great having you on tonight. I think this is probably a good point. We're watching the time here. We've been chatting for quite a while. I would, we're going to keep in touch. I feel like we made a good connection, and I look forward to watching your channel, watching your videos, and the progress that you make there on the homestead. And if there's ever anything that I could do to help you or, support you in any way, feel free to call me at any time. And maybe if this segment takes off and, it's successful and I end up doing them, maybe we can get together again and do a little update on your homestead.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll probably be emailing you too because I want to pick your brain a little bit about electrical.
Sure. Yeah, I'd be glad to help you. Anything I can do to help you out, I'd be more than happy to do that, Ken. All right. Thanks again for coming on, Ken. You have a great night. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and God bless you.
God bless everybody.